Room Acoustics Work by Stella Wong, featuring The Movements and Minecraft. Have you been in a gym or a church? It's really big. You can hear it echo when you talk. Have you ever been in a movie theater? It's still pretty big, but it's not echoey in there. It can get loud because of the speakers, but there's no echo. Why is that?
And your bathroom can get echoey, even though it's a small room.
What's different about how sound travels in big rooms, like a gym, versus a movie theater, is that they're made out of different materials. What's different about materials that absorb or reflect sound? To understand these differences, we have to understand the way sound moves. Reflection means sound bounces off a surface. Absorption means sound doesn't pass through a surface. The amount of time a sound stays in a room depends on the amount of non-absorbing or reflective material, which means sound persists, and the amount of absorbing material, which pulls energy out, which means the sound won't persist. Think about a game of pool. When the red ball hits the side, it reflects, and not a lot of its energy is absorbed. When the red ball hits the purple ball, the red ball will still reflect, but loses some of its initial energy, because some energy gets absorbed by the purple ball. That's why the purple ball also starts moving. Direct sound is the shortest path between the source, or the speaker, and the receiver, or your ears. Early reflections make one bounce off a surface before getting to your ears, and late reflections make bounces off multiple surfaces before getting to your ears. These are all the same for one sound. This is the initial hello. Reflections cause the wave to travel a greater distance before reaching you, the receiver, which introduces a time delay. Depending on what the surface is made out of, some amount of energy is absorbed by each reflection. Late reflections take a longer path, so this introduces even more time delays. For example, if you're in the U of R gym and someone blows a whistle or talks, the sound persists. So how big is the room and what materials are in the room? The basketball court's floor is wood, and the walls and ceiling are concrete. Both are sound reflecting. Every time sound hits something, it loses some energy. So the more surfaces it hits, the more energy it loses. If the room is bigger, then there's a longer time for sound to travel between each reflection or bounce. The energy per reflection being pulled out is the same, but the longer decay time means energy isn't being pulled out as quickly. In a movie theater, what's the floor made out of? The carpet is absorptive, so most of the energy gets absorbed, and only a little energy is reflected. Think back to the last movie you saw. What else is in the room? Fabric-covered seats, and sometimes curtains. And you were there with all of your friends. So there are a lot more bodies in the room. Our bodies can double the sound absorption of those seats. So comparing the gym and the movie theater, they're both big rooms, but one echoes because of what it's made out of, and the other doesn't. The gym is a big room, and your shower is a small room, but both echo because they both have reflective surfaces. As acousticians, how long is the reverberation time of the room? We can quantify this with the concept of the T60. T60 is the amount of time it takes for the sound to get quieter by a certain amount, which in acoustics we call 60 decibels. We calculate the T60 based on how big is the room and what's in the room. Let's walk over to the world of Minecraft. Let's say we find an igloo and explore it. Every Minecraft block is 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter, so let's say the room is 5 by 4 by 3 meters. We can do a little math, and we've found the room's volume and surface area. Now we know how big the room is. Check. How about if the room has a lot of sound reflecting or sound absorbing material in it? That absorption coefficient is named after this man, Sabine, and uses Sabine units. The igloo, the ceiling, walls, and floor are all made out of snow blocks. Looking at the T60 formula, we have the volume and surface area. The absorption coefficient of snow is 0.8, very sound absorbing. Doing the math, it takes 0.12 seconds for a sound to get quieter by 60 decibels. In a Minecraft jungle pyramid, the ceiling, walls, and floor are all made out of stone blocks. The absorption coefficient of stone is 0.02, very sound reflecting. So, it takes 5.8 seconds for a sound to get quieter. That's a big difference. What if our jungle pyramid was found later, like Chichen Itza? The moss would grow slowly from the ground up, so we'd need to split our formula into different parts for the ceiling, still stone, and the floor and walls, growing moss. The absorption coefficient of mossy stone is 0.70. Reindeer moss can get up to 0.96. We apply the stone absorption coefficient to the ceiling's surface area and the mossy stone absorption coefficient to the wall and floor's surface area. And voila! The T60 drops. It takes 0.18 seconds for the sound to get quieter by 60 decibels. Thanks for listening, Professor Ben and Aaron, and thanks for a great semester.